Greetings once again, people of the earth. This is Retro Ernest of Retro Electro Tech, and what I have here on the bench today is a ProScan PSVR 65 VCR, and this is what it looked like from the front before it was disassembled. Okay, let me grab that knob there. It's trying to get away from me. Set that here. And as you can see, this is the case and some other little goodies, and you know, you have all your mechanisms, chassis, the main PCB over there, and just all of these neat little mechanisms that make a VCR do what a VCR does.
Wow.
So I don't really do much work on these anymore nowadays, VCRs that is. However, for a customer who wants this specific unit repaired, I am going to go the extra distance for them and see what I can do. So I want to mention that I was in here once before, and I performed a very preliminary cleaning and relubrication of some critical areas, including the tape loading arms here, okay, and some other stuff as well. But anyways, they were badly bound up, and you know, the first time around I had to liberate a tape that had been taken hostage and eaten alive by gummed up mechanisms, as I mentioned already. So after I freed the stuck tape and performed some budget friendly maintenance, you know, it worked for a bit. I tested it here in the shop several times. It got home to its human, and it worked for a bit, and then, you know, here it is again. So this time around, and with the green light to go a little further budget wise, as you can see, I'm in elbows deep to overhaul the loading drive assembly. And yes, ladies and gents, this is a rather involved process, as you can see, and I've only just begun. So for someone to want this level of service performed on a VCR nowadays, a customer has to be motivated by more than, you know, what the VCR is now worth, no doubt. But like I always say though, you know, if you dig your stuff, you dig your equipment, then it takes on a whole other level of value. And you know, sure, you know, he can run down to the secondhand store or you know, whatever place to grab a used VCR, but you know, again, you're not guaranteed that it's going to be functioning properly from, you know, A to Z. And you know, if you just like your own piece of equipment that you've had for a while and it served you well and you want to keep it going, then this is the kind of stuff you have to do, and you have to be willing to spend the money to do it. So that's just life. That's the price of admission. So anyways, back to the loading drive assembly. Now, because of the fact that the mechanism I'm referring to is critical to just about every mechanical function of this VCR, such as you know, tape loading and loading arm operation, pinch roller function, you know, reel brakes, mode switch operation, and so on. Again, it's critical that it's all working properly. Okay, so here we are on the bottom side of the chassis, and one thing that I didn't mention a moment ago was that when I first pulled everything apart, I found the belt here laying at the bottom of the bottom of the case over here. So the belt had come off, and you know, rather than just replace the belt, and in fact, let me just go ahead and reinstall it on the pulleys here. You can see that the belt is pretty loose. It's overstretched and needs to be replaced, and it's kind of a pain in the butt to get to this belt. You know, everything has to be, of course, pulled apart as you see it now, and rather than just replace the belt and call it all good, it's wise, since I'm in here anyways and I had to pull everything apart, and this is going to require deeper cleaning and, you know, relubrication, it's just best to go all the way at this point. And make sure that everything is operating very, very fluidly, and that everything is nice and clean.
Hey guys, over here.
What?
The cops have been in here.
What are you talking about?
I'm finding fuzz everywhere.
Oh, man. For example, I want to get all this stripped out and relubricated. This loading slider here, which works the tape loading gear and the loading arms and all that. It's responsible for a lot. There's a lot of these mechanisms that, again, everything is interdependent on each other to some degree, and there's a lot going on in here mechanically. So since this is my second time working on this, that's why I feel that it's just better to give it a go. Just go for the gusto, as they say, and just do the maintenance that needs to be done and call it good. And hopefully everything will work okay after that. With old equipment like this, you never know. It's something that parts wear out, plastic levers break. Things can go wrong. You have a lot of integrated circuitry, processors, and so forth. So there's a lot that can go wrong in one of these pieces of equipment, especially as they get older, and this thing definitely is older. Okay, now in regard to that mechanism that I was describing earlier, the loading drive assembly, now what I have in my hand here is referred to as the cam gear, and this thing here is pretty much the primary drive gear. It's the heart of that mechanism, the loading drive assembly, and it truly does operate most of the mechanical functions in this VCR, or at least that mechanism, as far as that mechanism is concerned, the loading drive assembly. And this thing is you can see all the individual tracks and so forth, and that various levers and their posts and all that ride within to do what they do in terms of carrying out their function. And there's really a lot that goes on with this. And this gear here is driven by the loading motor. Okay. And this loading motor is tucked away in this housing, and I wasn't able to perform as much maintenance as I would have wanted to the first time around, because again, budget and the amount of disassembly involved. But anyways, this cam gear is driven by the loading motor, by this, let me see here, via this cam drive gear. Okay, so the reason I'm pointing this out is I really want to drive home the fact that this is why there's just a lot involved in getting these things up to speed when performing an overhaul. Okay, another important part that I want to point out here that's often responsible for a lot of mechanical mishaps and problems, and especially with tape loading and tapes failing to play properly, tapes getting eaten up, and all sorts of things, is this mode sense switch here. And what this does is, it's part of that loading drive assembly. Okay, and in fact, it's driven by this loading motor here. So again, this is a gear-driven switch. There's contacts here, and this just kind of snaps together. And what happens is, and again, this thing was mounted on this PCB, so I had to desolder it out of here and so forth. But again, as I mentioned, it's driven by that loading motor. It's part of that loading drive assembly, and its primary function is to basically sense the movement and the position of the mechanism that I was just referring to, and pass that information along to the microprocessor, okay? So it's crucial that these contacts are all very clean, and you can see the outer contacts all along here. I don't know if you can see the on the outer ring here. You see how tarnished these outer contacts are? The inner contacts are not too bad, but they still need to be clean. But these outer contacts here are very tarnished. And again, along with these contacts being really clean, including these contacts on here, everything has to be in proper alignment. The whole mechanism needs to be in proper alignment. But again, I'm just trying to stress the importance of when going in here and overhauling this equipment, the attention to detail that needs to be performed to get these things functioning properly, because again, there's a lot going on. Okay, so as mentioned, and before ending, I just want to say that what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and again service all of these various levers, gears. Let me just kind of pan this down. All these levers and gears and mode sensing switch, and just go through and make sure everything is operating very fluidly, after which I'm going to of course reassemble everything, and then in part 2 I'm going to show everything all put back together. I'll keep everything open and just kind of show you how everything just kind of moves around and functions, and that everything is doing so the way that it should. And then I will do an audio video test. I'll get this thing plugged into the monitor, and we'll see what it's doing, and hopefully it's going to resolve the issue and everything's going to work as it should. So stay tuned.
This is a poor man's shoe production.